Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the IKKO OH300 Lumina. This is IKKO's take on the $50 price bracket single DD market, and they've done it with a very nicely executed single DD IEM that doesn't follow the Harman tune. It follows very much the IKKO house sound, which is a very healthy dosage of V signature, let's put it that way. But anyway, let me just quickly take you through the box. It's a very simple affair, very simple box, nothing really special. You open it up and it brings some paperwork here, okay, which I'm not really going to bother you with that. Inside of this box was the cable, the IEMs came over there, and then we have a nice array, three pairs, small, medium, large on the narrow bore and the wide bore tips. I used the the wide bore tips for a while, but then I ended up using these green stem tips that you can get from Panon. I ended up using these tips because they basically gave me the same sound as the stock ones, but with a better sense of security. They just hold the IM better in my ear, so I ended up using those ones there instead. Anyway, this is the box. Simple, straight to the point. It's got some specs in the back. It shows the graph that apparently the IEM has. I didn't measure anything even remotely close to this. It's got a 32 ohm impedance, so relatively easy to power, and it's got an LCP driver being used inside. As for the IEMs, the cable itself is actually a nice cable, better than the cable that you find in the more expensive models such as the OH10s. Okay, the terminations aren't anything special, but the cable itself is nice and actually measured pretty decently. It's a pity only that it's a QDC, but again, that's not an issue. That's just the way it is. As for the IEMs, it's a kind of a resin plastic shell with a faceplate, which fetches inspiration in the faceplate of the OH10s. And what do I mean by that? Well, it's luminescent, so it light will affect it in terms of its color, and then you can see all the crossover components are underneath this glass. You can just barely see them. The crossover network which this IM brings, which I believe is just basically in essence a Zobel network. Okay, they've put it on the faceplate, and they've placed a piece of glass over it and showcased it. Let's basically say that showcased it, made sure that it's there to show more evident. It fits nicely, no issues with the fit. It's a relatively light IM, fits nicely. Isolation is pretty good with these tips. And that's basically it. I mean, in terms of its hardware, if there's anything that I can falter is really the fact that it doesn't have a carrying case with it. But then again, I mean, I got this particular unit from HIFIGO. It costs just under $40, so I guess you can't really complain at that price point. Okay, anyway, what do I have here, the IKKO OH300, to be compared with, or to establish its position, not so much as the winner or the loser, but establish its position in the market. As I said, this is priced at around $40. To the left, I've got the Richo SG03S with the modified nozzle, which is how I use it, and this is about $69. And to the right, I've got the R2E3 Mermaid, which you can get it anywhere between $60 and $75, depending on where you get it. For this particular unit, I got it from Keep HiFi. The two things that these two IEMs have on the ends here is exchangeable nozzles, which will provide a different tuning. In the nozzle setup that they currently have, okay, this modified one here and that one there, with the silver nozzle instead of the black stock nozzle, so I've got the silver nozzle here. I get a signature which is very similar to the signature of the OH300, and that allows me to better position it. If in my review of the SG03S I said that with this nozzle, the 03S becomes a nice IM, a serious IM, especially for those that are not looking for Harman tuned, which is what none of these are. Okay, if you will have an IM which has a solid bass, slightly recessed mids, but good mids nonetheless. It's non-fatiguing. It's got great extension up top. That also basically is the same situation in the case of the Mermaid. less extension, a little bit less extension than there, but it's got solid bass. Very smart the way they implemented that reutilization of the back venting to reroute it and to kind of help do away with the peaks in the frequency response. Very smart. That's a very nifty piece of engineering there, and you have a nice, warm, engaging sound. It's a very unfatiguing listen. Okay. Like I said, we get stuck a lot of the times in that Harman style of tuning, and I'm not going to deny I like it. Yes, I do, but I am always open to different styles of tunings as long as they are well done, and that's the case in the Mermaid. The Mermaid offers two nozzles, one which has very forward mids and is not exactly my liking, but with this alternative nozzle, it sounds fantastic. It sounds nice, warm. It's got more that old school kind of vibe. It just sounds fantastic. This modified also gives us the same thing, but with a little bit more extension up top. The OH300, where does it sit? The OH300 sits towards a sound more similar to the Mermaid. So great bass. It's got plenty of speed, plenty of resolution, really nothing that can be faulted in the bass. The bass is very well executed. Transition into the mids, it's fine. There's a little bit of bleed, but nothing aggressive, nothing that's, okay, fine. There's a little bit of a recess in the mids, but nothing which is offensive, especially when you consider the whole premise of the tune and the price point. And then, nicely done male vocals, nicely done female vocals. Male vocals are better executed than female vocals. Female vocals would do with a little bit more air up top, just a little bit more energy around 4 to 6K would help, but this is me nitpicking. They are still very well executed. The places where you should be worried are with regards to like excessive energy at 5K or around 5K, they are not there, so it's not a sibilant IM. I only saw some hints of sibilance if I wasn't careful with what source I was using. So if I was using a brighter source, so if I was using something with maybe an ESS DAC, I would find it could at extremes really, but otherwise it sounds fine with most sources. I did the majority of the listening with the NX7 and the KEN RU7, and I did a lot of listening as well with the NX7, but with the Panon tail. I really like that little DAC. That little dongle DAC is quite impressive. So it's got a very nice, even sound. It's not badly executed. It's not. Now, is it the ultimate IM in terms of detailed retrieval? No, it's not. Neither are any one of these two. If you want something again like that, then this is not the IM to go for. Then you go for something like the EW200 from SimGot. So we have to know and what it is that we like, and then choose accordingly. Is it an IM that technically is also very capable, even compared with its own sibling? I mean, I've got here the OH10s, and as you can see, in terms of the faceplate, they've really fetched cues there. It really does try and give you the feel that you have an OH10s in your ears, okay? But even like I was saying, sonically compared to the OH10s, it doesn't have. If it can give you a little bit of the hint of the bass and the lower mids of the OH10s, it doesn't give you any of the technical prowess that the OH10s has. So it doesn't have the soundstage, it doesn't have all that detail up top, which makes the OH10s be a great IM as it is. So, this is an IM, as I said. This is an IM if you want a more old school kind of approach to sound, non-fatiguing upper mids and highs, more organic. Tonally, it is very correct. Tonally, timbre and tonality on the OH300 for me are again spot on, as they are with the other two as well here. So I think that the main point of let's say that would make you choose the OH300, considering that it has a sound which is very much capable when compared to the SG03S and the Mermaid, is its price point. At the $40 price point, if you really cannot afford to go any higher, then yes, then it's it will definitely give you the sound that the Mermaid offers, or give you the sound that the SG03 offers if you modify it. Please keep that in mind. And at a price which is $20 to $30 cheaper. If, however, you can afford the others, then that's a different story. But nevertheless, I would say that this is a better option than the OH1, the OH2, which is the the previous other, let's say, more budget orientated IEM that IKKO offered. The OH2 I thought was just too underwhelming, to be honest. I think maybe the tuning that they chose there wasn't the ideal. And that's it, guys. I mean, I'll show you now quickly the graphs and we'll wrap it up. All right, you take care now. Bye-bye. Hi guys, and welcome now to the graph section for the OH300 from IKKO, the Lumina. This is the graph of the Lumina with its stock narrow bore tip. As you can see, very prominent base, some bleeding to the mids, relatively well done. Again, nothing too aggressive. You could say first peak at 2.5 and then peaks again at 4, then a dip, and then coupler related and some peak as well. Related here, which is not only coupler related, at around 8, and then that's it. I tried the stock tips, but then I also tried alternative tips with the foams, with the comply foams. I got this graph, which might be more satisfying to some, so kind of subdued a little bit that peak there, the 7, 8, 9K area, so it's more controlled. So those of you that want to try maybe a comply tip, you can expect something like this. And then with the green tips that I ended up using, the ones that I get from Panon, let me just change here the color so it stands out. I got this graph, which is very similar actually to the graph of the foam, if you can see. Very similar to the graph of the foam, just with a little bit extra energy there in that close to 8K area. And that's how I preferred listening to it. Now, having said that, the interesting thing is that although you see these two peaks here, when you listen to it, unless you really are cranking it, they never really bugged me, honestly. Anyway, compared to the Richo SG03S modified, as you can see, it's not really in the bass where you see the biggest difference. The Richo has got perhaps a slightly cleaner bass, while the OH300 is maybe a little bit more woolly, okay? And over here, it's again in the upper mids, it's very similar. Where you see the biggest difference is past the upper mids in the treble and past 10K area. The SG03S does have more detail, does have more twinklies and sparklies, which contribute then to its detail retrieval capabilities. As compared to the Mermaid, which is this graph here, again, very similar in the bass. Don't misinterpret this variation here by thinking, oh no, the Mermaid's less bassy. No, it isn't. It's just as bassy in a good manner. Again, I would say that the Mermaid, the biggest difference in terms of the bass to the OH300 is maybe, just maybe, in 1 or 2 songs I see a little bit extra snappiness, a little bit cleanliness, more clean. But it's very minor, and then the rest is very similar, because overall the balance, if you look at the balance of the IKKO in black, bass to highs, and you see the balance of the Mermaid as well, bass to highs, you can see that they are very similar. That ratio between this area and this area, as compared to the IKKO, in terms of the balance here in the bass as the balance of the upper mids, it's very equal, so they end up sounding very similar. I would say that perhaps the Mermaid edges out again the IKKO by not having that sensation, like I said earlier, of it being a little bit on the edge with 1 or 2 songs. Okay, it never really bugged me, because I mean, I like listening to music loud, but I never really listen to music that loud for too long, so it's not a problem. But you could sense that, if I stay there for longer than what I usually do, I would probably start getting a little bit of fatigue. Otherwise, fantastic sounding IM as well, the Mermaid, nothing to be said. And there you have it, guys. I mean, like I said, the OH300 is a solid IM. It's well built. it just faces a lot of competition, and that's the biggest problem currently in the market. Is you have a lot of IMs, a lot of them are very well done, and the differences between them are going to be minor. So it's down to what is your preference. You haven't got any IM, you have already got an IM. What is it that you want? I mean, this is not an IM if you want details. So, if your thing is balance of sound and audio file quality, this is not it. Oh, by the way, just for the sake of comparison, here's the OH10s compared to it, just for the sake of comparing the graph. As you can see, like I said, you do get a kind of a vibe of the OH10s in the sense of the way the bass is done, the way the pin again and the peak and the post peak as well. You do get some vibes, some touch of inspiration of the OH10s being translated here into the OH300, but it's a much higher quality driver, so you can, if you listen to one and listen to the other, yes, they are good, but you can feel that the OH10s driver, it's got that little extra cleanliness, that little extra more dynamic ability that the OH10 doesn't. And up top, definitely you notice there's more air, there's more space, there's more everything, there's way more detail. Although graphically you would think, no, there might not be a big difference, but there is. Anyway, guys, as always, like and subscribe. Any questions you might have, please feel free to ask me, and I'll do my best to reply as quickly as possible. All right, you take care now. Bye-bye.